You know, it wasn't too long ago that everyone was so impressed with modern-day multi-effects processors such as the Line 6 Helix series, the Boss GT1000, or something like the Moa GE200. They are very small and very powerful, but what if I want something even smaller? Something that can fit in the size of my palm? Well, today we're gonna look at the impossible. We're gonna look at the NUX Mighty Plug PRO. I'm Vinny. Let's check out some gear today. I remember when I was a teenager, I used to lug around this huge pedalboard kept in this very heavy hard case with a trolley attached underneath so I can lug around town. While that is usually manageable, it is a total nightmare when I have to climb stairs. Somehow or other, the studios that we go to usually have that flight of stairs. So by the time I'm done setting up my pedalboard, my hands will usually be so sore I cannot play the guitar properly. But don't get me wrong, I still operate on my huge pedalboard these days. I don't need it all the time. And of course, pedals are getting smaller, amplifiers are getting smaller, even our cars are getting smaller. Space is pretty much a luxury these days. And I like to see that we intelligent human beings are moving the right direction to use technology to make our lives better so I don't have to carry that heavy pedalboard. And here's a video of me sharing my studio rig back in 2019, and that was considered a very small rig on a budget at the time. I was so pleased with that setup I made a video about it. Looking back at it now, I can't help but laugh at myself. Oh Vinny, how would you have known better? Then in July 2020, I made a video about the NUX Mighty Plug PRO MP2. I was so certain that it's going to be the best tool for people to do their guitar practices in hotel room. Except the world got into a lockdown. That, however, did not deter NUX from improving on their product. Instead, they spent the last 2 years working on crazy and impossible ideas for this Mighty Plug PRO. Here are some of the stuff that really blew my mind. On the top of mind-blowing stuff includes the ability to rearrange effect blocks in your preferred order. You can do so both on your phone app as well as on your computer. Speaking of computer, there is now an app called the Mighty Editor. For people who prefer to work on their computer instead of touching screens, this is pure bliss. Also, if you have a earphone with a microphone, you can now plug the TRRS jack into the Mighty Plug PRO, and it will allow you to record your voice alongside your guitar playing. Lastly, if you have recorded a certain line but isn't satisfied with that tone, you can now do reamping. How crazy! I know, there's a lot to take in right now. I'll go through some of the functions in this video later, but let's look at the key differences between this new version and its predecessor. Word of warning, it is insane. Alright, so I made a quick list comparing the Mighty Plug versus the Mighty Plug PRO. And off the bat, you can see that it is generally a lot better than its predecessor, but I'm just going to run through them quickly. It was 13M models, is now 21M models. It was 19 IRs, now 34. It has no custom IR previously. You can now load up to 20 IRs of your own. It has 7 presets. Now it has 7 presets with active and inactive options, which I'll explain later in the video. It has gates, effects, amp, IR, mod, delay, and reverb. It has now gates compressor, which is previously something that's sorely missed. And effects, amp, IR, EQ, super important. And mod, delay, reverb, and with the ability to arrange the order as you wish. Right, it previously has only 1 gate, 8 drive, 6 mod for delays and 4 reverb. It has now way more. Right, it doesn't support stereo previously. It now supports stereo, delay, and reverb. It has no overall patch level settings, though you can still tweak them by the individual settings. Now it has a dedicated patch level settings. This is very good for fast and easy overall level setting. And it used to only be able to last you 4 hours of playtime. Now it can do 5 hours of playtime. No TRRS support, and now with TRRS support, which is very good. If you do have one, you can do a loop back and you can talk alongside your guitar playing in your live streaming or your recording whichever you please. Actually, that list kinda go on and on and on, and I'm kinda tired stating the obvious, so I'll drop a link to their official website in the description below so you can read it up for yourself. I'm just so excited to show you how this thing sounds like. Let's dive right in. As always, before I show you how it sounds like individually, I'd like you to hear it in the context of a song. So here's a little demo I've written for this video. Perhaps one of the most useful things about the Mighty Plug Pro is the ability to do live streaming. Right now I've connected my earphone with a microphone directly to my Mighty Plug Pro into my video call system on my laptop. And I figured this is a good way for me to demonstrate both the tone and its streaming capability at the same time. So you can see that how versatile this whole Mighty Plug Pro actually is. I mean, I can imagine someone using the Mighty Plug Pro to do an online performance or to do like what I always do, online teaching. This is definitely going to give my students a better tone of what I'm doing and at the same time being able to hear me loud and clear. So there are a lot of effects in this Mighty Plug Pro, and it'll be ridiculous if I were to go through every single one of them. Instead, what I'm going to do is just do a breakdown of the demo I did earlier on the 4 presets that I have used. So the first preset is my clean sound basically, and I'm using the Jazz Clean. That's basically a jazz chorus amp on the 120 cabinet system, the IR. This is all the IRs, by the way, all the IR that I'm using in my demo are the default IRs available from this software, from the NUX software, and I didn't touch it at all. I just used them and I tweaked accordingly. So I use a compressor, a studio compressor. I use my mod, which is now the D-tune, to make it a little bit like chorusy sound. Let's have a listen again. Right, that's the D-tune sound. Of course, I can go for a chorus, etc. I find that the D-tune fits what I want the best, and I added a little bit of delay with modulation. So there's like a double modulation thing. Sounds decent for sure. So on my second preset is my crunch or overdrive channel, and let's have a listen how it sounds like right now. And that's my crunch channel for you. I'm using a Plexi 45 amplifier with this. I think I consider this like a bonus IR they gave. It's a British amplifier, British cabinet with, I believe, a Sennheiser 421 mic and a Shure 57 or something like that. It's indicated somewhere in the manual. And I'm also driving it with a steel string singer pedal. This is one of NUX standalone pedal. They included it into one of their multi-effects right now. Preset 3 is with the same thing with a mod. And I added this SCF stereo chorus flanger thing. It has a ability to go phase or chorus, or I think this is, I don't know what they actually did. I have no idea. It sounds good. All right, let's have a listen what it does. It has this very big sound, which is very good for what I was doing there, like chords, right? Yeah, I like this kind of sound when it goes on chords. I can imagine something like this will work with. But of course, it really goes to your own taste and preferences. Yep. So finally, I go to my preset number 4, which is my drive channel, lead channel. And this one I'm using the dual rectifier with default dual rectifier IR. The only thing that I really work hard on is the EQ. I use a 10-band EQ and I tweaked it. I compared it with Overture 1928 and I tried it many times until I find that this is as close as I can get using stock IR and everything on the system. And I think it's quite cool. I also added a little bit of delay because that's how traditionally John Petrucci would do it, and a bit of reverb. So this is how it sounds like. And that's my lead channel, that's my lead settings. It is as close as I can get to what I think sounds like John Petrucci. By the way, I'll be leaving all these 4 presets in the description below. You can download them and install into your Mighty Plug Pro and give it a try. The first thing I really want to show you is this Mighty Plug Pro's Mighty Editor. It is a new software designed for your computer to connect to your Mighty Plug Pro. And it wasn't available in the previous version. In the previous version, you can only set your settings from either your iPad or your phone, or any phone. You can just Bluetooth and connect the settings via Bluetooth MIDI. And you can still do that with the current version, but I would like to show you this new version where you can connect it directly to computer, which I think is awesome because it allows me to set everything very easily. For fat fingers like me, you will definitely appreciate this option available. And right off the bat, looking at it, it is so intuitive to know that, hey, this looks just like many of the multi-effects processors that we've seen out there. You have all the various blocks as a layout in various color scheme here, and you can turn them on and off just like so. And you can also, to your delight, now drag them to rearrange the order as you wish. And as you select them, the option to set their settings is just available to you, and you can just look at it directly and do all the settings that you want. Now you may be confused that if I click amp and I click IR, it kind of like doesn't move. Is it like a buggy patch or something? Buggy software? No, it's not, because they kind of like is a one big page. I just want to show you that, hey, IR, you can turn it off or on, amp on or off, up to you. It's separate control, but the bottom page is pretty much the same. Because IR, you change it from this one, you click it and you can select it's a little bit out of my screen here, but yeah, you can select up to 36 inbuilt your IR, and there's 20 slots for you to put in your custom IR, right? So this is my first preset, the clean setup, and I'm using the Roland Jazz Chorus or Jazz Clean. It's quite a default, and these are the various amp models that you can do. And you may also notice that, hey, we have like Optima Air and Stage Man. These are like for acoustic guitar, so you can actually use this alongside with on your acoustic guitar. And definitely you can also do this with your bass guitar, and you can do this with anything you can imagine. The next thing you notice is that there are 7 presets available for you to use, and you can set them to whatever sound you want. Sometimes when I use my multi-effects, I do use them in a way whereby the next preset is basically adding in a modulation, and that's about it. For example, 2 is my crunch setup, and on 3 is with a mod. It's as simple as that. And 4 is my distortion channel, and 1 is my clean, right? So that 4 setup, that's all I need actually, and I don't want to go through too many of them because then I have to cycle through like 7 before I get back to clean, etc. So what you can do, you can come over to this tick arrow here and this icon here, click it, it will highlight everything. It says, okay, which one do you want? 105, 106, 107. And once I'm done with that, now if I click on my device, let me just show it to you on my screen here. If I click on my device, take a look at the cycling. It jumps to 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to 1. It doesn't go to 5, 6, 7 because I don't need them in this current setup. So that is done. That is good. And in order to write that, of course, you hit save. It saves it into your Mighty Plug Pro. To save this patch out, which I have done, so that you can download my patch into your Mighty Plug Pro, you hit this icon here. It allows you to select, it says which preset do you want to export. All right, so I say 1. And then it says, where do you want to export it to? Let me just click on this one real quick. And then you can select whatever folder, etc. to save it out to. Okay, and then if you want to download my patch, for example, you want to include my patch into your Mighty Plug Pro, you use this icon, and then you can load whichever preset that you have downloaded off the internet. I know it's a little confusing with these two icons here. It took me a while to understand what it means, and of course this one means reset everything, right? I don't think you want to click that by accident. But if you have already saved your preset out before, then clicking this by accident, this reset will not be a big issue. Okay, also the next thing to note is how do we set our custom IR. It's very simple. You just select on a slot that is empty, click onto it, and then you click this icon to select your custom IR file. Then of course you can set individual patch level for every of your patch. So some of them are a little lower, some of them a little higher, because obviously clean, I want it a little bit louder, and drive a little bit lower, etc. And this is like a little bit more towards a lead setting, so it's a little bit louder, blah blah blah. You can set your IR in various level as well. So this is -1 dB, the other one is 0.29 dB, etc. You can also do low cut, high cut of your IR file, so you can kind of like filter out a little bit of modify your IR file a little bit. Let's just go through all the available effects in this latest version. Of course, we have gate that is just either on and off. You got no way to set it. It's just one option there. And let's go to compressor. We have 3 compressor this time around: Rose Comp, Comp, and K-pop, and Studio Comp. And let's go to our drive. We have so many awesome drive here. We even have a fuzz here, right here, steel string singer, etc. We have amps. We have so many different amplifier. And this time around, my all-time favorite is the dual rectifier. It sounds legit, really legit. And we have a lot of, again, it's cut off from my screen, but we have a lot of different impulse responses, and they are quite authentic, quite good. We have an EQ, which you can have either a 6-band or a 10-band EQ. And we have our mod. Let's go into, look at them. You detune. We even have, there are some stereo effects this time around, and you can hear them if you're on your headphones. They sound really good. Okay, and you have tremolo and everything, and CE1, CE2 stereo chorus. That is really good. Delay, we have analog digital modulation, tap and pan delay. Freaking awesome. Oh, one thing that I have to point out is that there is no tap tempo here, but there is tap tempo in the app itself. Weird, but yes, there is tap tempo in the app. So if you need to set a specific timing using tap tempo, you have to log in with your app. And finally, the reverb, we have quite a few options here as well. Here's the one thing that I noticed as I was messing around with this software, is that all these settings are global, if you understand what I mean. So if I were to set, let's say I didn't use crunch in any of them, and I were to set my tone all the way up, my gain all the way down. Let's give this a test. I'm gonna save it. Okay, all right. I'm gonna go to patch 6. And I'm gonna call out the same thing. Okay, patch 6, I'm gonna call out crunch. Let's take a look. See this? It's weird, but I guess it's a workaround. Otherwise, I cannot imagine how this tiny little device is able to store so many information, and it's just impossible. But I think this is one of the things they do as a workaround, so that you can get so many of this various models, and you can even shift them around, which is not possible in the previous round. I'm okay with this as long as I know it beforehand, because I did set various pedals in my various preset before I did this video, and I was like, who messed my setting? Is this a bug? It's not a bug. It's just something that is not openly declared. So now you know. Now you know, and you will not do the same mistake as me. Next, let's talk about the top 3 icons here. We have the Bluetooth, which they also offer a various for Grub 1, Grub 2, 4 groups of various EQ. These EQs, I'm very sure they are not the same as your EQ that you have in the presets out here, because I did check. This is my regular EQ that I've set, all right? And don't hit R stands for reset. I did that painful mistake. And so these are not touched at all. I don't know. Wow, how do they do that? Now they give me 4 extra EQ options for my Bluetooth setting, which is awesome. And you can invert your EQ, you can mute it or not, you can reset, you can save. And then they have the microphone setting, or you can mute it. Right now it's on mute because this system, this Mighty Plug Pro, now do accept TRRS, meaning if you have your regular earphone with a microphone that kind of, the wired earphone, if you remember, you can actually connect your microphone directly into the Mighty Plug Pro. So you can set that up, right? And then you still have your standard drum machine here. You can all sorts of various drum beats for practice. That's fantastic. You can still do tap tempo and adjust your EQ of the drum. I don't know how they include all this in a small package again, but yeah, they could have given me individual presets control. I don't need all this. But anyway, finally, you go to this most important page, which is your MIDI input setting, your USB setting, your routing mode setting, and if you are on the latest firmware or not. MIDI setting, nothing much to do here. Just make sure it says Mighty Plug Pro USB, because I'm on the USB mode right now. And USB settings is basically your recording level and playback level. This can be helpful if you don't have a speaker system like me. You have a earphone. I don't know what kind of system. This will definitely be helpful. Or if you have a guitar that's super high gain, then the recording level will be very helpful. I've left it at 0 and they work fine for me so far. Now, for the most complicated and most exciting part of the setup page, which is the routing mode. The routing mode offers you 4 different options. Let's start with normal. Normal is how we use the Mighty Plug Pro as regularly intended as a effect processor. So in that, they give you the option of wet and dry. It means that you can set to hear more of the processed sound or direct from your guitar signal, which most of the time, this is now set at 50%, and I can set it to 100% wet or 100% dry or whatsoever. It depends on what you need, but it doesn't affect me because right now, I'm not listening to the sound from the audio out of my Mighty Plug Pro. I'm listening to the sound from my computer's out as a monitor on my Logic Pro. Stick with me. So if I plug my guitar into Logic Pro, into Mighty Plug Pro, it goes bypass the USB, which is referring to your computer in this point, at this case, and it goes into the effects chain in the Mighty Plug Pro. And then from there, it will send out to USB, which means your computer. In my case, I have sent it into Logic Pro, and I can use Logic Pro to say, hey, I want to hear from there, and pump to my speaker or whatsoever, my studio monitor. But if you're listening to the sound from your audio out of the Mighty Plug Pro, then it goes this way into the audio output. Okay, This output refers to audio out from Mighty Plug Pro. And you can choose not to use this, which is my option. I choose not to use this because I want to hear it from my studio monitor. Okay. Then loop back. Loop back actually refers to using the microphone, the TRRS jack, to allow your voice to go into the system, into this whole chain, which is why it's called loop back. Okay, but I'm not using it, so I switch it off. And then the third option is reamp. Reamp is where in a situation where you have recorded a signal, a line, but you're not so pleased with the effects and you want to change that. Thankfully, you have recorded a dry signal before that. You use that to export out from your computer and send it into the Mighty Plug Pro. And you can do so because in Logic Pro or any other DAW that you have, it allows you to set the audio out as, in this case, Mighty Plug Pro, and then go from your DAW into the effects processor again and back into the DAW. Or again, like in this case, you can hear the output from the audio jack out from Mighty Plug Pro. And finally, we have the dry out option, which is in the case if you want to make sure that you are always going to tweak your tone using reamping, then dry out is the option for you. Because dry out sends the signal from your guitar directly into your computer without any effects at all. Okay, it will bypass Mighty Plug Pro for this reason. But because it is weird to hear the dry signal, you can still hear it with the effects if you use the audio output of the Mighty Plug Pro. So this is especially so if your intention is to use reamping. So you will go from the guitar, send it to the computer, a dry signal, and then you use the effects in your Mighty Plug Pro and you hear it from the effects of the Mighty Plug Pro, and then your computer will send you back this signal, blah blah. And later on it's like, okay, hey, I don't want a distortion here, or I want a heavier distortion. Then you select reamping mode to go into reamping, and then you can go back into Mighty Plug Pro and then set all the sound that you want to set. This is a little unusual as compared to, say, the likes of Line 6 HX Stomp, for example, because Line 6 HX Stomp allows you to have both the normal signal and the dry out signal going into your DAW processor in Logic Pro, etc. And in that case, you don't have to worry about if I did record the dry out or not. Okay, so you can record both at the same time, but not so much for our new Mighty Plug Pro. But then again, it's a small package. I'm okay with this option of not being able to have the dry out, because I can always re-record what I want to do and to get a better version. So there we go. You have survived the routing mode of the Mighty Plug Pro. So in conclusion, should you get the NUX Mighty Plug Pro? I think it's a resounding yes, because this thing is able to fit everything I need as a guitar player into a tiny form factor. I mean, even if I have a main rig, this serves as a very convenient backup device I can just simply keep in my pocket. How crazy is that? The only thing I think is not so good is that you will look a little weird because you'll be jamming out with a 3.5mm audio cable. Thank you for sticking to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. Really, more than YouTube algorithm. I know some of you are following my channel for the last few years and you noticed something really different about my channel this time around. I've changed the channel name and the logo to Pedal Rebel. It's a new thing I'm embarking on, hopefully to reach closer to my 10,000 subscribers goal. I have NUX and Joyo on board supporting me achieving this target. And if you like to help, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button right now and it will set my sail right to 10,000 subscribers. Well, that's all I have for you for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Vinny. Bye.